Hello, welcome to episode 19 of the Top 2 Inches Rugby podcast, brought to you by I Spy Surveys, the go-to specialist survey and inspection company based in Exeter, Devon. So what is going to happen on this episode? Ollie will be joining me for more Ruggers talk, ranging from the start of the Six Nations, who were the top performers this weekend. We'll also check in on the Gallagher Premiership, what went down, were our predictions accurate this week, or were they more shockingly shambolic like they were the week before. We'll also check in on the ladies game. I will be going solo on that one, and we will see who is the top dog in our fantasy rugby. Yes, I'm sure he will like to talk about that quite a lot. So it just leaves me to say that we are on Twitter at Top 2 Inches RP. So if you want to go over there, give us a follow, check out our feed, comment, ask questions. More than happy to respond, get you in on the get a question in on the show, on the episode rather. And we are obviously available, as you know, on all kind of major platforms such as Anchor, Spotify, YouTube and Apple Podcasts. So let's just get on with the episode, get straight into the Ruggers. Okay, so let's just have a little review of the Allianz Premier 15 round 11. First game up is Wasps versus Worcester Warriors. The Wasp ladies, should I say, came out on top 40-3, quite a one-sided affair. I didn't get a chance to watch any of the highlights of these matches, but looking at the review, it's, like I said, very much a one-sided affair for Wasp ladies. What was coming out on top out of the information is their pack was a lot more dominant than the Worcester Warrior ladies pack. They had quite a few red roses that were returning. One particular, Abby Dow, scored a spectacular solo effort. And yeah, unfortunately for Worcester, they've knocked up another defeat with a good victory coming for Wasp ladies. The next game was another one-sided affair with Saracens taking on DMP Durham Sharks. Game ended 73-3. Lots of red roses featured in this game, including Vicky Fleetwood. Poppy Cleo crashed over twice within 7 minutes. And yeah, unfortunately, it was another poor performance for DMP. Another loss for them. Saracens, I think, with this win, have now moved up to the top position, and obviously it was good for them, having lost last week to Exeter Chiefs, to get back on the winning ways, because that defeat last week was a serious defeat. So well done to the Saracens ladies. The next game I'm going to have another look at is Loughborough Lightning against Bristol Bears. The review kind of says it was a bit of a high octane encounter. Loughborough Lightning came out on top 42-14 victors. Quite again, Emily Scarrett was playing. She had another fantastic performance. Jasmine Joyce is doing quite well for Bristol Ladies. She got on the score sheet again. But yeah, it was a one-sided affair. That's it. Sarah Byrne, she powered over for Bristol for their second try, but Loughborough Lightning, they were just too dominant. And then another red rose, Abby Brown, rounded off for the afternoon with another try for them. So well done to Loughborough Lightning. Gloucester Hartbury took on Sale Sharks, and Gloucester came out on top 26-7. Quite a close encounter by all accounts from reading the review, but with not long remaining, Gloucester kind of sealed the game, taking it away from Sale, and they obviously got maximum points from the trip, so that was a good result for the Gloucester Hartbury ladies. Now the game again of the round, Exeter Chiefs ladies. Wow, 2 weeks in a row. So last week they beat obviously the Saracens, and it was something like ridiculous, like 300 odd days or something since Saracens has last been beaten. And they did it again this week, beating the Harlequins ladies 7-6. They got off to quite a great start. McKinley Hunt scored just after 3 minutes on the clock, with Gabby Cantrona adding the extras. Harlequins only really had 2 penalties from the boot of Ali Green. And it's quite a cagey first half with obviously Exeter going into a narrow lead, and the second half unfortunately remains scoreless. But you can't take that away from Exeter Ladies. It's another hugely impressive victory against a well-established team such as the Quins. So let's just have a look at the table, because I would imagine there has been some change in this. So at the moment, you've got Saracens are in top spot, 45 points, followed by Harlequins on 41. Wasps are into third with 39, and Loughborough Lightning are also in fourth on 39. Exeter Chiefs Ladies are in fifth on 30, so they're still 9 points adrift of the top four. Then you have Gloucester Hartbury on 25, Bristol Bears on 18, Worcester 15, Sale Sharks on 5, and poor old Durham Sharks on 0. So I have to say, well done to Exeter Ladies. Another fantastic victory. Definitely no mean feat to take Harlequins Ladies on. They're a fantastic team, and obviously will be kind of vying for the final again with Saracens. So, if nothing else from this season, Exeter Chiefs have recorded 2 fantastic victories against the Saracens and Harlequins women. Hats off to them. They're definitely establishing themselves as a team to be reckoned with in this Allianz 15s. So, episode 19, he is back like a renegade master. Ollie, how are you, buddy?
Hello, mate.
How are you getting on? You okay?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. So I guess first off, we need to apologise for it being a little bit late this episode due to us not kind of being able to get together to do the recording.
Your fault, mate. Your fault.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll take the blame. Not sure why, but yeah, okay. I'll take the blame. So,
just take it.
Where do you want to start, mate? I mean, should we start internationals?
Yeah, why not?
Good.
Six Nations.
Six Nations kicked off on the weekend, and I've got a little bit of an epitaph. Is it an epitaph? Epitaph. I don't know.
I don't know, mate. What are you trying to say?
Well, basically, I want to say something. So, I watched the England game, and we all know that England lost. Whatever it was, how many years that Scotland haven't won at Twickenham. And after the game, I was like, "Fucking fuck. What the is going on?" Eddie's lost the plot. Like most people, they were screaming for blood. They were saying the Saracens players weren't good enough. They weren't fit enough. They all look shit. And then I've had time to reflect, and I do wonder if it's more of a combination that England weren't great, which is fine. They're allowed to have bad days. They can have off days. We've played enough rugby over our lives to know that you can't win every game. Coupled with the fact that Scotland were actually bloody brilliant, were really on point. Their game plan was working perfectly, and it was just one of those days. And I kind of want to apologise for jumping on the bandwagon and baying for everybody's blood, having time to reflect. And hindsight is a glorious thing. What do you think, mate?
Well, yeah, I agree. I agree first and foremost, like I think you just got to congratulate Scotland, isn't it? That was an unbelievable performance. They were just outstanding, and yeah, just looking at it as an individual game, they just literally beat us in every area of the game, didn't they? And just every matchup they came out on top, which is and yeah, so I agree with you like that. If you just look at it as a one-off game, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you don't want to go down the line of England was so bad, because that's taking credit away from Scotland, and they were outstanding. I mean, I was thinking about it, and actually, it's probably in line with the equivalent of us beating the All Blacks in the semi-final of the last World Cup.
Yep.
Because we in that game were the underdogs, and we just outplayed New Zealand in every facet of the game, and Scotland have just done exactly the same to us, haven't they? So
yeah,
it's very similar in that way. But aside from Scotland, I mean, they were just man for man, just superior. And then obviously standout guys, Hogg
was really good,
being the main man. Obviously Finn Russell, Cam Redpath was outstanding for a debut. I mean, it was his first cap. That could have been quite easily been his 100th cap, wasn't it? He just looked
totally immersed in the team, totally
in control. Yeah, so
and on the same level as everybody else around him.
But obviously, a big plus for him being in a team that's on top and having one of their best games for a very long time, isn't it? But focusing on England, I agree with you if you look at it as a one-off game, but it is very concerning, and I've been thinking about it since. And actually, they haven't performed well for several games now since that World Cup semi-final almost.
Yeah.
And if you think the last game they had against France, in reality, could have and probably should have lost that game. And the rest of the autumn nations didn't play any particularly inspiring rugby.
Do you not think that was just Eddie Jones trying something new, though, like we've said before?
Well, you say that, but that's all well and good if you win your important games, which this one was, wasn't it? But so no, I'm
Are you trying to change my mind here?
I'm pretty concerned, to be honest, mate. And I've always been a big. I mean, Eddie Jones is Eddie Jones, but I've always been a backer of him, and we've always said, "Oh, trust in Eddie" and all that. But actually, I'm starting to think: has he lost the plots? Maybe a sort of harsh way to describe it, but has he gone to a place in his coaching with England where it's not working anymore?
Interesting.
People talking about over-coaching and all of that, and but it does, the way the guys played, it does look a bit like that. Like there's no reacting to the game and what's in front of you when you need to. If it's not going, it's all well and good having a coach plan, and that's obviously every professional team, every rugby side's got to have a plan, but you need to be able to play the rugby when the plan doesn't go to plan at the end of the day, isn't it? But,
okay, I get where
it's very concerning. And then selection is very concerning as well. And we always said, trust in Eddie on the selection. We did before this game, didn't we? But actually, picking the Sarries boys hasn't worked. But you had trust in Eddie, thinking, well, he's the guy who's, he's in the camp and he's obviously seeing them and he thinks they're ready and they're match fit and sharp and everything. But they weren't. They were
no, they were all.
There's no point pulling any punches. I mean, Itoje was the only one that was close to it, but the others were no. And Farrell, that's the worst game I've ever seen him play for England. He literally looked, to me, he just looked, a lot of the time he just looked lost.
Yeah.
And doing things that is just he wouldn't normally. I mean, there was one point where he tried flicking the ball between his legs to pass it out.
Yeah, he's not Finn Russell, is he?
No, but what? Yeah,
why
where's that even coming from? Yeah, that's not the way he plays. And there was no need for that to be done at that point. It's just, but that was just one minor highlighting fact. But they played a tactical kicking game, everyone's criticising the kicking game of England. But if you're going to play a kicking game, then put your best kickers on the pitch, you know what I mean? And George Ford was sat on the bench, and you had Farrell at number 10, not match fit, and not the best tactical kicker out of hand.
So you saying that Ford should have come on earlier then?
I would have started Ford if you're going to play that game, because he's arguably one of the best tactical out of hand kickers, field position kickers that you've got. And he's been playing regular rugby. I actually think the back line it's unfortunate in a way that we've done this a little bit later because we've got the selection for this weekend, isn't it? But
just on that, mate, just hold fire on that for just a second. So obviously we all know who Andy Goode is. He writes for Rugby Pass, and he did an article where he sort of selected his England 15 to start against Italy. So I'm just going to read through his selection and get your view on it. And then we'll look at what Eddie's sort of selected for the Italian game. So Goody's basically said Max Malins at 15, Odogwu on the wing, Henry Slade, Ollie Lawrence in the centre, Johnny May on the other wing, Owen Farrell at 10, Harry Randall 9, Genji, Cowan Dickey, Sinclair, Itoje, Laws, Tom Curry, Jack Willis, Ben Earl. So when I read that article, I kind of thought, oh, that's actually sounds quite decent. It gives some guys that are on the fringes the opportunity to kind of go out there and show what they can do. And let's not take anything and get away from Italy. I know, obviously, they got beaten quite convincingly by France, but I actually thought Italy played quite well. But we'll come back to that. What was your kind of thoughts on that Goody selection?
Well, I kind of agree and disagree. I actually think if we had done what we were supposed to have done and beaten Scotland last week, then that probably would have been fairly close to what might have been selected, as in giving guys a good first chance. Because Italy is, if you're gonna sort of give guys first blood or whatever in the Six Nations, then generally Italy is the game to do it, isn't it? But that's where it's just gone completely. It's like a double whammy as far as losing to Scotland, because now Eddie's almost forced to probably change what his original thinking was for selection for Italy, because the Sarries guys, for example, it was clear that they haven't had enough game time, so really he's in a position where he's going to have to be forced to give them some game time against, isn't it? Whereas you might have rested all of those guys and given the new guys a go and all that. But I mean, I just as a selection, what Andy Good picked there, I'd very much like that team. That looks good and exciting, and more of the form players in the team rather than people on reputation or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so like you were saying, having done this a little bit late, obviously we now have the benefit of knowing what the team to face Italy is. And Eddie on for Daly, Watson, Slade, Farrell in the centre, May, Ford comes in at 10, Youngs, Vunipola, as in Mako, Cowan Dickey, Sinclair, Itoje Hill, Laws, Curry, Vunipola, Jamie George on the bench, Genge, Stewart, Yules, Earl, Willis, Robson, and Malins.
Yeah.
So, Courtney Laws on the back row, another line-out option.
Yeah, I get it, but I actually would have gone for a back row of. I mean, Billy Vunipola just was nowhere near.
But then Billy plays better once he gets games under his belt, doesn't he?
He does, but is one more game going to be enough to get him up there ready for the big games? I just don't think it is. I think you just need to. Personally, I would have been a bit harsher on the call there. I would have gone for a back row of Curry, Bennell, and Willis.
Yeah.
And they're the form guys, and they're going to bring in that extra level of energy. Those three together. I mean, Curry was the only guy in the back row last week who. I mean, he didn't have a good game, but he was the only one close to having a good game, if you know what I mean, wasn't he? But
yeah, he gave away quite a few penalties, didn't he? But then I think that's probably because he knew that he was chasing the game and potentially felt, I have to do something here to make a difference. And then ultimately, that cost us a few more penalties. I think.
Yeah, there was too many pens, but you wouldn't argue those pens if you win the game, would you? That's the
no, absolutely.
And you win in the battle, but they didn't. The Scottish back row was Hamish Watson was just like a man possessed, wasn't he? And the back row just completely dominated our guys. But so I don't know. The back line that's been selected actually is probably the back line that I would have chosen for the Scotland game. As in Ford at 10, Farrell at 12, Slade at 13, same back three, and Youngsy at 9. That's because that's your experience, and I just think it was too big a call for Farrell. He's captain, and then you're putting him at number 10, and he hasn't played since December.
Yeah,
I just think it's too much. It clearly was. He was rusty and not match fit, and I think just that mental pressure was too much for him. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you put Ford in the 10, so he's sort of managing the game, that takes a bit of the burden off Farrell to relax and play a better game, if you know what I mean. But
yeah, okay, so that's fair enough. So are we kind of like come to the conclusion that Eddie on this occasion got it wrong, but also the players have to take some responsibility?
No, I'm putting this more on Eddie personally.
Okay.
the coaching. I think it's a case of an issue with the coaching. I think it's looking more like what some other people are suggesting. It's like, you know, an over coaching type scenario, and it, for whatever reason, it is not working.
That's fair enough.
That's concerning, I think. But
I guess this weekend he needs redemption, and he probably needs to put 30 points on Italy, doesn't he? If not more.
In reality, you need to be getting a better scoreline than France, don't you? Because we're a defeat down already. So if it goes to the end and there's a group of 2 or 3 sides that have lost one game, then it's down to points difference, isn't it? So it's all about points difference now, isn't it? So really, you need to be 50 plus, don't you? But
interesting.
Can't see that happening.
We'll see. Because I mean,
we don't know how to attack.
No, that's fair comment, mate. Fair comment. So I guess we are both predicting an England victory, but possibly not by the points difference that we need.
Yeah, I think so. I just can't see them turning it around to be able to bring, especially with the team that he's picked. I think if you brought in all those, like Andy Goode's selection, then you might see a really big score. But it's pretty rubbish, mate. It's pretty rubbish.
We'll see. So that brings us obviously on to France, Italy. Did you get a chance to see any of that game?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it live, not that much to be honest, and then caught the highlights. But pretty much as expected, really, wasn't it? But
yeah, I mean, Anton,
they did a proper job, didn't they?
Yeah, Dupont is something else, isn't he?
He really is, mate. He really is.
He's absolute world class.
Yeah, he's.
I mean, he's the catalyst behind how, and probably the gauge on how well France kind of play.
Yeah, he's outstanding, mate. I mean, he's definitely the best number 9 in the world at the moment, isn't he? And some people are even saying best player in the world at the moment. But that's a big shout. But yeah, he's just unbelievable and on amazing form. But France know how to play attacking rugby, and they always have. They've got a bit of structure now, obviously more structure than they've ever had, but they know how to play the game and read what's in front of them and play it as it is, isn't it? Rather than just sort of freezing and just going to default of kicking the ball, which is just what we seem to be able to do at the moment. But.
No, that's fair. So let's not dwell too much on France, Italy. I mean, Italy. I guess the only kind of question coming from that game is, and I think Sam Warburton kind of said it in the, over the weekend, is it time for Italy to go? Is it time to go back? Is it time to go back to 5 nations, or is it time to have, the team that gets the wooden spoon has a playoff with the, tier 2 teams like Georgia, Romania, Germany? Are we at that stage?
Yeah, possibly, but I don't know if it's actually ever sort of genuinely or realistically going to happen very quickly. But I think it's a bit harsh on Italy. That I don't think. I mean, they are generally a bit off the pace with the others, but they do, and they can play some very good rugby. I think. But generally
speaking, they play too bad.
Sorry,
I didn't think they played too bad.
They don't. Especially this. Six Nations, it's such a young squad they've got, isn't it? So that's if they're holding. I mean, I think generally speaking, they sort of most games, not all of them, but most games they sort of play some fairly good rugby and contest for maybe up to about sort of 50 minutes, but then the other teams normally run away with it in the last half hour or whatever, isn't it? But I know, as I say, not every game, because obviously France pretty much dominated the whole thing in that one, didn't they? But no, I don't like to criticise them too much, because they've come a long way and they do and can play some good rugby. But I think if anything like that does happen, I wouldn't just sort of I wouldn't just knock them out and make it back to 5 nations. I think, like you suggested, having a relegation and promotion situation would be good, because then at least you've given other nations a chance of
having a go.
Coming in. But I don't. To be honest, I just don't think the tier 1 home nations are ever going to let that happen, because then there's always the risk that one of them's going to get knocked down, isn't it? So
true, but that'd be entertaining.
Yeah, it would, but it might be us this season.
No, let's leave it. Leave it as is. I do just want to mention, I'm not even going to try. I might try and say his name. Sperandino, the Italian try. What a try! That was just an individual piece of brilliance.
But that's the thing, though, isn't it? They've got. I mean, they can play some really good running, move backline sort of rugby, but individual talent as well. I mean, they're almost on a par with France, aren't they? With the sort of individual flair that they can.
Yeah, it's just having that cohesion to be consistent for the full 80 minutes and have that structure in place, like you said, that factors now have. So let's move on. Wales Island. Mahoney.
I predicted a Wales win, didn't I?
Yes, you did. But obviously they lost Mahoney.
Yeah, to be honest though, I actually thought, and I know loads of people saying, "Oh, that is because they lost they were down to 14 men for the rest, most of the game or majority of the game, wasn't it?" But
16 minutes.
I know, yeah. But I actually think, in some ways, that even makes it harder for Wales. It adds an extra level of pressure, doesn't it? Because then they have to win, don't they? Do you know what I mean? As in, and if you lose with 14 men for that long, then against 14 men for that long, then that's probably pivot straight out, isn't it?
Yeah. And to be fair, it took Wales a while to kind of clinch the win, really, didn't it? I mean,
yeah, it did. It was well contested.
It was a good
game overall, wasn't it?
Game, to be fair. But I do think Andy Farrell's probably on the rocks a little bit now as well.
Yeah, I think you probably have to both judge them both on how the rest of the tournament goes, isn't it? But neither teams were outstanding in any way, were they? But probably some good signs. I think I'm looking at the Welsh squad. It's almost like Pivac sort of just focusing on just getting a few results in this Six Nations, isn't he? Trying to get a good. So he's gone back to default with all the the reputation big name guys, isn't it?
Yeah. You mean like Dan Lydiate, who's now out for the rest of the season?
Yeah, and even you had sort of George North coming in the centre, and Alan Wynne, who actually had a very good game, didn't he? Alan Wynne Jones, I thought. I thought he played very well. And Halfpenny, but and I suppose he's still chucking in a few of the youngsters, isn't he? Lewis Rees-Zammit scored a good try, didn't he?
Yeah, that was a hell of a try, hell of a finish.
But he's not gone sort of full goo on bringing in the youngsters. But I think it's almost like he's just trying to get some results, which is fair enough, isn't it? Because that's what they need. If you can get a few decent Six Nations in and a few wins, and then you can start blooding a few more of the youngsters coming through, isn't it, for the next World Cup or whatever. But,
no, that's fair.
Okay. They're in trouble, I think, aren't they, with the injuries and things now?
I think Wales are, aren't they? I think.
Well, they both lost, but I think Ireland's are more sort of key players, aren't they? Johnny Sexton's a doubt, isn't he? And I think Donica Ryan, is it Ryan? Second row, he's a doubt, isn't he?
Oh, I don't know. I know Wales. Sorry, mate. I know Wales suffered a few injuries. George North was out because he had an eye injury, didn't he?
Yeah.
And Johnny Williams was concussion. Hal Amos was out. Thomas Williams picked up a bit of a hamstring injury.
Yeah.
Obviously, Liam Williams comes back in. So it's going to be interesting, to say the least, especially because Wales are going up against Scotland at Murrayfield.
At Murrayfield, yeah. Yeah.
Just on that note, then, do we think what we saying? Scotland to win?
So, but hang on. Six Nations?
No. Oh yeah, why not?
They could.
No, I'm just looking on the news, and Scotland make 3 injury-enforced changes for Saturday's Six Nations meeting with Wales at Murrayfield. Jamie Ritchie, Sean Maitland, and Cam Redbath all drop out the team.
Oh, that's a shame, Cam Redbath in particular.
So incoming is Blade Thompson, James Lang, and Darcy Graham.
Okay. Yeah, but I can't. That going on how they played last week, and just they're going to be flying now, aren't they? After beating beating England in Twickenham after, 38 years. So big ask for Wales now to go to Murrayfield and try and get anything. So I can't see that going. And to be honest, I think, all joking aside on them potentially winning the whole thing, I think they've got Ireland at home as well.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly
France away,
isn't it? But so if you get to a point, if someone manages to do France, us or Ireland, then you could be at a case where there's sort of 2 or 3 sides on one loss, and then it is anyone's, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it could be. But I'm going to go for Scotland victory, I think.
Yeah, same.
Definitely. Okay, so let's France and Ireland. That's going to be an interesting game.
France, Ireland.
Yeah, in Ireland. France win?
I am, yeah. I think if Ireland had won last week and pulled out a sort of stronger, better performance, then I might have just gone for Ireland. But no, France. I'm going France, definitely.
Okay.
I think we're the only ones who've got a chance of stopping France personally now. But
you reckon?
Well, potentially, but we've got a long way. We've got a long way to go. In a very short time to have a chance. But
I'm not so sure on that one myself. Okay, so should we leave the Six Nations and let's go to domestic?
Cool. Okay, mate.
Okay, so Friday night was the game between Sale and Bristol, and I think we both predicted a Bristol victory.
Yeah, we did.
And we were both wrong.
Yeah, we were.
Oh dear. Sale just were gritty as all hell, mate, weren't they? They were just, Bristol looked to me like they were off their game a little bit. And Sale just kind of have this determination of never give up. I don't think Sale looked particularly good in attack, but defensively, they were pretty shit hot. And Bristol just, again, it looked like Bristol just stuck to their game plan rather than adapting to what was in front.
It was a good battle, wasn't it? I thought it was a good contest overall, but Sale just had that extra edge and power in particular, and they just they definitely won the power battle, didn't they, in the forwards? But it was more of it was quite a sort of nine-man game, wasn't it? Faf de Klerk had the best game he's played so far this season, didn't he?
Yeah, he did play well. And AJ McGinty played quite well as well, to be fair.
Yeah, and their pack, I thought, was overall fairly dominant over Bristol's pack, and that's probably down to Bristol missing a few. I think there were 2 pulling out just before the kickoff was a real big hit for them, wasn't it? But
yeah, definitely.
They were already a couple shy, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely a result of the season so far for Sale, and Sanderson's obviously installing some good things already there, isn't he? Because bringing them together, isn't it? It's looking fairly positive for Sale, and that will hurt Pat Lam and Bristol definitely, but they don't dwell, do they?
No, they can't. There's not much point. You have got to move on, haven't you?
You either win or you learn, isn't that one of Bristol's motto?
I think so. That certainly seems to be what people are saying at the moment. Win and learn.
But yeah, no, a bit of a shock because Bristol were sort of flying, weren't they? But yeah, they're obviously missing quite a few key players at the moment, aren't they? But in the forwards and the backs. And I know everyone's missing a few.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody's missing a few players with the different internationals that are going on, so you can't really, not necessarily blame it on that, can you?
No. But obviously, and then Radradra was out, wasn't he? And
yeah, and he's out for a while, right?
Sorry,
isn't Semi out for a while now?
Yeah, I don't know exactly, but I think they've said, I heard a report saying maybe 8 to 12 weeks or something like that. So
yeah, interesting. So moving on, Wasps Northampton now. I'm pretty sure you said Northampton, didn't you? And I said a draw. Was that the game that I said a draw?
Yeah, it might have been actually.
I think it was.
Did I say Northampton?
No, I think you said Wasps, mate, to be fair. Thinking about it.
I think I might have said Wasps.
So Northampton came out 22-17 victors. They got off to a bit of a flyer. Obviously, another game at the Rico now, 2 games in a row that Wasps have lost at home. Northampton, I think, were 14 points up quite quickly. Northampton obviously came back into it. Wasp came back into it and got quite close to taking it, and I think potentially should have taken it come the end. But what do you think is going on with Wasp? Do you think it is just that, again, there's a few guys out, and when they come back, things get back on track, or do you think they're kind of special, or the way they've been playing is kind of rubbing off a bit, and people are sussing them out? Different teams are working out how to beat them.
Yeah, maybe a bit of both. I think we've said before. My view is that they're not necessarily missing that many players for international and injury, but I think it's the guys that are missing are just pretty key to them, aren't they? Launchbury being huge for them, as a just because of the form he's on, and he's obviously one of the main, if not the main, sort of leader in the pack, isn't he? Jack Willis is a big loss for any team, isn't it? And and then obviously Robson.
He's your playmaker.
Yeah, and a Dogwu, who's probably the best, or most dangerous attacking running back they've had this season, isn't it? So I think it's just the sort of level of the guys that are missing that's hurting them. But you wouldn't necessarily expect obviously a good, fantastic coaching group there, and done some really good things with that squad there. So I don't know whether it's a bit of a shock for them to be losing like they have been the last couple of weeks, but it happens, doesn't it? Everyone goes ups and downs. So
yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully they'll turn it around in the next couple of weeks or whatever.
Fingers crossed. Okay, so then the next game we had an impressive victory for Leicester Tigers against Worcester. Obviously, Worcester have been Leicester's kind of bogey side for a few seasons, beating them 2 seasons in a row, I think, at home at Welford Road. But this season we put them to the sword, 41-24. Things have changed at Leicester, mate, do you think? On the up? Top 4?
Listen to this is from the guy who put a bet on Bath to get to the final, wasn't it?
Yeah, I probably won't bother with that again.
I'm not. All joking aside, not so sure about top 4 this season. But
why not?
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not? It's clearly Borthwick's come in, mate. He's changing it round. They're mauling, they're brawling. They've got a bit of attitude about them. Why not top 4?
Yeah, it's not going to happen. But you keep the faith, mate. But it's not going to happen. But whatever you say, they've
something's going well.
We've said before, and that they've more than turned the corner and come out of the sort of trough that they were down in sort of last season or last couple of seasons, isn't it? So it's looking good, mate. And actually, I think the big positive in the last couple of rounds, and certainly in this game, was some of the new signings, Argentinians and South Africans, are really starting to.
Well, Montoya picked up 2 tries. Weiss picked up 2 tries.
Was that his debut, Montoya?
No, well, it was his first home debut, I think.
Home debut, was it? Right, okay.
Yeah, and it was the first time he started. He came on. No, it wasn't his first home debut because he was at home to Sale the week before, but he came on for Tom Young, but he started. I mean, 2 good tries. Argentine international, can't knock that really. And obviously Weiss has picked up 2 tries as well. And it's interesting. The 5 tries that Leicester got were all from the forwards.
Yeah.
Which shows that Borthwick is looking to have that nasty, dominant Leicester pack back.
But you have to have that, don't you?
We do, yeah. It's tight. It's Leicester.
No, I mean, it's always been part of the game, but I think almost even more so these days, isn't it? You've got to have at the end of the day, if you don't have a dominant pack, then you're your backs aren't going to be doing anything, are they? So
no,
like England proved this week.
Absolutely. Is that a train game?
But yeah, it is, mate. I'm just parked up near a railway line.
That's good.
Yeah, so yeah, it's good things for Tigers, mate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then the next game, London Irish against Gloucester. Gloucester firmly now at the bottom of the table, losing to Irish 32-26.
Yeah,
Irish are looking quite good, I think. But you know, they do seem to be conceding quite a few points.
Yeah, I mean Gloucester made a bit of a fight of this one, didn't they? Which is
good.
That's some positive signs for them. But yeah, I agree. Irish, they definitely got. I mean, the week before they were just, that was probably their performance of the season, wasn't it? And but they picked up another wing. But obviously, like you say, conceded a few more and a bit more of a fight about it. But yeah, it's good. I think I reckon they'll be a solid mid-table. I don't think there's any concerns in them being in the relegation battle, but it is still such a long way to go in the season, isn't it? So
well, yeah, because what was this? This is round 9 just gone, is it?
Was it 9 or 8?
8 or 9. I mean, so there is, like you said.
Yeah, we got nine this weekend, isn't it? So yeah, it was round 8.
So there is, like you said, there is a long old way to go.
Yeah,
definitely. But
so, yeah, I mean,
it's good things coming out of London Irish, I think.
Yeah, well, they got some really sort of well-known, big-name internationals, haven't they? So.
Well, yeah, but I'm sure I read somewhere that the old
form together.
The Australian prop Kepu has literally, he's gone.
What?
Gone with left Irish with immediate effect. I'm sure I read that.
Oh, I haven't heard that one, mate, but possibly.
So next game up, Newcastle Exeter, and I was sort of suggesting that this was going to be a good victory for Newcastle, and actually it was quite close. Exeter came out on top 15-9, but they were made to work for it, definitely.
Yeah, I went Chiefs, didn't I?
You did go Chiefs, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the actual, I think probably how the game, result aside, how the game went was probably what we both expected, or most people probably expected. It was going to be a good contest and a close game, wasn't it? Which it was. Yeah, I thought, as I predicted, I thought Chiefs
would just have a little bit more.
Yeah, they just they know how to win now, don't they? I mean, they obviously lost a couple of rounds in a row before the couple of week break we had, isn't it? But,
yeah. And Cuthbert scored a really lovely try as well to kind of seal the game off, I thought.
Yeah, that was good to see. It would actually be nice to see him have a good run and get a bit of form, because
he's been around the club for a while now, hasn't he? And hasn't really been involved.
Well, he's been really unlucky with injuries, hasn't he, since he's joined Chiefs? But
yeah.
He's been out for a lot of the time since he's been there, with some nasty injuries. So yeah, I say it'd be nice if he gets a good injury-free run now and manage to get back to some decent form, because I don't know. What year was it? Him and George North were just like unstoppable with Wales. It must be sort of 2012 now, is it?
Something around there.
Yeah, because he's never really reached those heights since then, is it? So it'd be nice to see him get back to something like that again, wouldn't it, for Chiefs?
Yeah, he's a good player, and obviously Baxter knew what he was doing when he purchased him.
Yeah, exactly. As I say, anyone who, I mean, he's done it with a few guys who have sort of maybe peaked in their careers and then starting to dwindle out, and then they go to Chiefs and get reignited again, don't they? And get back to top form. So Thomas Waldron being the ultimate one, wasn't it?
But... Yeah, definitely. He was quality for Tigers, but then was another level for when he went to Chiefs.
That's it, yeah.
So,
and even I've just gone blank on the name. What was
the Australian flanker?
Second row went from Chiefs, from Tigers. Yes, yeah. He had like a resurgence at Chiefs as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
But doesn't always work like that. There's obviously been a few that have gone to Chiefs and it hasn't worked out. But Baxter's pretty good at, if anyone's going to do it he and Chiefs will do it, won't they, with a player? But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. So that do you want to talk about Bath? Saved them till.
Well, not as bad as the week before is about all I can say on that. But
I don't know, mate.
Well, at least we scored some points. Didn't let so many in. So
28-15.
Yeah.
At the Rec, Harlequins looked quite good.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, I think what probably didn't help you guys was the fact you had 2 yellow cards.
Yeah.
In the space of, Rocco Taguni was yellowed on the 49th, Matavesi on the 51st. So, that was, you can't. It's not good, is it?
No, that's
it doesn't help.
That doesn't help, and the second half for Bath was a lot better than the first half, aside from the yellow card. So that that the yellow cards, if anything, probably just put a complete dampener on chance of any sort of fight back, wasn't it? But
yeah. So how did you think? Go on.
No, go on.
How did you think old Schumann got on? Because he came on for Priestland on around the 61st minute, didn't he? So he had a little bit of time, 20 minutes or so to make a mark. Did he make an impact? Was he any good? Did he look like he could fit in quite well at Bath? Because obviously you mentioned this week that old Cipriani could be going to Bath. That's the rumours that are coming out of a newspaper in Somerset, isn't it?
Yeah, there is a rumour of Cipriani. I think it's reading between the lines. I think they were gunning for Marcus Smith, weren't they? And obviously he's just in the last day or so announced that he's re-signed for Harlequins, which is damn a shame. So we'd love to see him go to Bath. But yeah, so I think they've potentially reopened the talks with Cipriani. But I don't know how. Again, it's rumours, isn't it? You don't know how much is in it and whether it's actually going to come to anything. And if it does, is it going to be a sort of this season thing or next season? Because I think Cipriani said he was looking to take a season out, a break for a season, but he thinks he's got 3 or 4 more in him, I think. But yeah, I mean, just we've chatted about that before anyway, haven't we? It's old Sips. It's one of those.
Yeah,
I would take it now where Bath are right now, but take the chance, if you know what I mean. But it could completely bomb. But on the other hand, it could be the catalyst you need, isn't it?
Yeah,
certainly need someone like that with that sort of skill set to get that back line going. Because as we all know, on paper, the whole Bath team, but the back line in particular is absolute mustard, isn't it? It's just we ain't seeing them.
No, you're not at all.
But yeah, I don't know if it was enough. He had a few. He didn't really get that much ball, but he had a few nice touches and a couple of runs and stuff. So yeah, nothing to overly impress, but certainly nothing to concern there. But just a solid 20-minute debut, I suppose. And I think he should hopefully come off the bench maybe a bit more, give him a bit more time this week as well. But
yeah,
this weekend.
Okay, so I just want to kind of have a little look at the table, and I just need to find the table. Hang on. Oh, sorry, mate. Bear with me. I'm just trying to load up the. Oh, that's the Premiership Cup. We don't want that. So at the moment, here we go. So Gloucester at the bottom. So basically the point I'm trying to make at the moment is we've got Leicester in 8th on 20, Wasps in 9th on 20, Bath on 12. So there's an 8-point gap between 10th and 9th. Worcester on 10 points, Gloucester on 9 points. Are you guys in the relegation battle, do you think? Because I have also heard that ring fencing ain't happening.
I haven't heard it's not happening. I know they had
I've heard it's not happening. BT Sports have put their foot down and basically said it's not happening.
Oh right, okay. I haven't heard that. I know there was a meeting last week, I think. But where it was assumed that they were going to go into the meeting and come out with the agreement for the ring fencing, but it wasn't agreed.
No.
No, I haven't heard that. So I certainly haven't heard that from BT either. But I mean, you got to carry on and assume it's not happening at the moment, isn't it? But until it's announced, if it gets announced, or announced either way, I suppose, confirmed either way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
But Bath are in the relegation battle. There's no shadow of doubt on that, mate. It's
something
you asked, are they in the relegation battle?
Well, they are, aren't they? I think.
Yeah, we're 3 points off bottom, mate. So
yeah, literally. I just, it's a shame because it's quite a few West Country sides in there. Obviously, Bath and Gloucester are in there. It's just going to be interesting because obviously I think Bath go to Sale tomorrow night.
Yeah,
which is I can't see Bath kind of getting much out of that. If anything, in all honesty.
No, you wouldn't expect it, especially the way, the sort of the way the form is, isn't it? With Sanderson doing some good stuff.
Yeah.
Starting off doing some good stuff with Sale, they're playing some good solid rugby, and Bath they're all over the place.
And I think also the kind of benefit for Bath, however, is that Bristol go to Gloucester, so that's potentially a victory for Bristol. I can't see Gloucester winning that, so that should, from a Bath supporters' perspective, keep Gloucester on the bottom. I would have thought.
Yeah,
hopefully. Are we saying so? Friday night you have Bristol, Gloucester, Bath, Sale. We're saying Bristol win, Sale win.
I'm going Bristol win, and I've got to back my boys, mate. Bath win.
Okay. Mental.
Well, actually, Sale. I don't know if you've seen the squad announcement. Sale have picked a very almost string. Certainly, the backs I would say is that none of the sort of what you would say is first choice guys in the back line. The pack's pretty strong. You've got like three of the three Dupree brothers in the and John O'Ross. So that's probably what will do it for them if they're going to win it. But
no, I wasn't. Oh, hang on, let me have a little look.
Yeah, their back lines.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no de Klerk, no McGinty, none of the no Sam Hill. Oh my God, gone blank on the two brothers as well. What are they called?
Curry.
No, in the backs.
Yeah, I know who you mean. Can't think either.
He scored an awesome try last week with a mullet.
James.
That's it. Yeah.
No, right. Yeah, de Klerk's on the bench. McGinty's on the bench. Luke James is on the bench. Oh, that's going to really mess up my fantasy rugby team as well. For fig's sake.
But yeah, so they're obviously confident they can do it even with a sort of weakened team. But yeah, the pack is very strong, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the Bath team looks.
We are, to be fair, like there's obviously major things wrong with Bath at the moment. So this is in no way an excuse, but I think probably if you sort of put down on paper all the players that are missing in each club at the moment, Bath would be up there with the top, if not the top, with internationals and injuries combined, if you know what I mean. So we've got a lot of personnel missing. So yeah, I mean, you look at the Bath side and you think that's not a first choice side overall, although there are players in there who would be first choice. But yeah, so it's going to be tough. Whatever, it's going to be bloody cold as well. I expect up in Manchester.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit chilly, mate. Definitely. Okay, so that takes us on to Saturday, where we have Leicester away at Harlequins, two teams that have been on form, but Harlequins always proves to be a tough place to go. What do you reckon?
Quins for me, mate.
Yeah, of course it's Quins for you. Yeah, I mean, realistically, Harlequins are a lot different perspective at home, and I'm always going to back Leicester most of the time. But I think it'll be. I just hope we don't get stuffing after last week. I think we need, even if we came away with a losing bonus point, that'd be all right. But I think I could see Leicester doing it, mate. I think their back row is really strong. Harlequins could come.
It's Quins all day.
Well, we'll agree to disagree then. Exeter, London Irish at Exeter.
Chiefs.
Yeah, Chiefs. Saints against Newcastle at Saints.
Do you know what? A couple of rounds ago, I would have said Saints, but I would have said Newcastle, but I'm definitely backing Saints for this. They're on a good bit of run at the minute. Two back-to-back wins, and I think they're on some good form, playing some good rugby.
Okay, well, I obviously always like to back Newcastle because I just like Newcastle. So I'm going to go for a Newcastle victory on the road. Get things back on track. And then Sunday is Wasps against Worcester. I think Worcester.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's at 6 ways, isn't it? So
6 ways, yeah.
Yeah, neither of them. I mean, Worcester lost last week, but they did have a bit of a fight and a bit of a comeback against you boys last week, didn't they? But yeah, I just Wasps are really struggling, and they got to go away, haven't they? So
yeah, I could see.
For me,
I could see Worcester taking that one.
So 3 and 3. We've agreed on 3 and disagreed on 3, is it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So, right. Okay, cool. Just one other thing to touch on, and obviously I touched on it earlier on in the ladies' game. Exeter Chief Ladies beat Harlequins.
Yeah, that's 2 impressive wins in a row for them, isn't it?
Yeah, currently 5th in the table. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. I just think we need to mention it again because that's just so impressive to beat Saracens ladies and Harlequins ladies.
Yeah, it's fantastic, mate. It is outstanding, and even more so considering they only just essentially just formed as a side this season, haven't they? So
yeah, absolutely. And I was thinking, mate, when we do actually go back to rugby, we should go and watch one of the ladies' games up at Exeter.
Yeah, I'd be keen for that. Definitely, mate. Definitely.
I think that'd be really. I think it's such a good game to watch. Okay, all right, buddy. No worries. Well, we'll leave it there, and we will catch up again next week. Thank you very much for coming along and chatting and installing all your rugby knowledge and wisdom on the.
All right, don't take the.
No, I wasn't. I was being very nice. All right, mate. Go well, and we'll speak again soon.
All right, mate. Good to speak. See you next week.
Take it easy. Bye.
Cheers.
Now. Okay, so that's the end of episode 19. Thank you very much for downloading the episode and listening to us ramble on about our views on what happened over the weekend at rugby. We'll be back next weekend for episode 20. We will be looking obviously again at the next round of the Six Nations. We'll also check in the Gallagher Premiership, the ladies' games, and we'll see who is still top dog on the Fantasy Rugby. Just like as any other week, we are available on all major platforms such as Anchor, Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcast. And it just leaves us to say thank you very much to iSpy Surveys for sponsoring us again this week, the go-to specialist survey and inspection company based in Exeter. Seriously, go check those guys out. They are fantastic at what they do. And we will catch you again for the next episode. Thank you for listening. Do go over to Twitter, as I've said before, at top2inchesrp. And yeah, leave comments, ask questions. We're more than happy to respond and answer those. So yeah, we'll catch you next time. Thank you for listening once again.